In a world filled with magic and mystery, Calum wakes up in a thick forest, lost and confused, with no memories of who he is. He feels a strange energy pulling him toward the heart of Eldoria. As he walks among the trees, he unknowingly brings life to the plants around him. One day, Leora finds him while gathering herbs and feels an unusual presence around him. When a storm threatens her crops, Calum instinctively clears the sky, leaving Leora amazed and worried about his unknown powers. In the heart of a dense forest, where the sunlight filtered through the leaves and painted the ground in dappled patterns, a young man named Calum awoke. He lay on the soft earth, his body surrounded by the scent of moss and wildflowers. Confusion clouded his mind. Who was he? Why was he here? As he sat up, a strange pull tugged at him, drawing him deeper into the woods, toward a place he could not remember but felt was crucial. Calum stood and brushed the dirt from his clothes. He took a hesitant step forward, then another, feeling the ground beneath his feet. Each step seemed to awaken something within the forest. Flowers began to bloom in vibrant colors as he moved, their petals stretching toward him, as if in greeting. The air shimmered with a kind of magic that made his heart race. Was this his doing? He paused, startled by the beauty surrounding him. How could he have changed this? Lost in his thoughts, Calum wandered further, unaware of the reality shifting around him. The trees whispered secrets, their leaves rustling in a language he could not understand. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a clearing. There, a girl knelt, her hands gently picking herbs. Leora sensed his presence before she saw him. A shiver ran down her spine as she felt a strange aura enveloping him. "Who are you?" she called, standing up and squinting through the sunlight. Calum hesitated, his voice barely a whisper. I don't know." Leora studied him, her curiosity piqued. "You're not from around here, are you?" "I just woke up," he replied, confusion etched on his face. "I can't remember anything." Before Leora could respond, dark clouds rolled in, casting a shadow over the clearing. The wind picked up, and she looked around, panic rising in her chest. "My crops! They'll be ruined!" In that moment of desperation, something instinctive stirred within Calum. He raised his hands toward the sky, his mind racing. A strange energy coursed through him, and with a thought, he cleared the storm clouds, revealing the bright blue sky once more. Leora gasped, stepping back in awe. "How did you do that?" she asked, her voice a mixture of fascination and fear. I don't know," Calum stammered, his heart racing. "It just happened." Leora took a cautious step forward, her eyes wide. "You have powers, but where did they come from?" He looked away, uncertainty washing over him. "I wish I knew." As the sunlight warmed the clearing once more, Leora's gaze softened. "You must come with me. I can help you understand what's happening." Calum felt a flicker of hope at her words. Maybe this girl could help him uncover the truth of who he was. "Okay," he said, taking a deep breath. "Lead the way." Together, they walked through the forest, an unspoken bond growing between them. Calum felt the pull toward the heart of Eldoria again, and for the first time, he sensed that he was not just wandering through the woods, but towards something greater. But questions loomed in his mind. What had caused this power to awaken? What darkness lay in his forgotten past? As they moved deeper into the forest, Calum knew that the answers he sought were just beyond the trees. Would he find them before it was too late? Would Leora stay by his side as he faced whatever lay ahead? The journey had just begun, and each step he took resonated with the magic of the moment, weaving their fates together in ways he could not yet comprehend. Leora stood at the edge of the forest, her heart still racing after the strange encounter with Calum. She felt drawn to him, a curiosity bubbling inside her. "He needs help," she whispered to herself, The mysterious aura that surrounded him stirred something deep within her, and she wanted to know more. Gathering her courage, she called out into the trees, "Calum, if you can hear me, come to my home. I can help you." After a moment, Calum emerged from the shadows, his expression a mix of confusion and wonder. You want to help me?" he asked, his voice shaky. "Yes," Leora replied, her eyes bright with determination. "I have some herbs and knowledge that might help you understand what you can do. Please, come with me." As they walked, Leora noticed the way the light danced around Calum, as if the forest itself recognized his presence. "What do you remember?" she asked gently, hoping to draw him out of his uncertainty. Calum shook his head, his brow furrowed. "Nothing, just flashes, bits of feelings. It's like trying to catch smoke with my hands." His voice trembled, and he looked away, lost in his thoughts. Leora felt a pang of sympathy. "It's okay. You're not alone," she assured him. "Sometimes memories come back when we least expect them. Maybe we can help each other." They arrived at her small home, nestled among the trees. Leora lit a fire in the hearth, its warm glow chasing away the chill of uncertainty that lingered in the air. "Sit here," she said, gesturing to a chair by the fire. "I'll get some tea. It will help you relax." As she prepared the tea, Leora glanced back at Calum. He stared at the flames, his expression distant. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern threading through her voice. "I'm not sure," Calum admitted, his hands clenching into fists. "I feel different, like I'm part of something bigger, something I can't understand." Leora placed a steaming cup in front of him. "Drink this. It might help clear your mind." She sat across from him, her eyes steady. "You mentioned fragments of memories. What do you remember?" He took a sip, the warmth spreading through him. "There's a fire. I see flames and hear screams, but I don't know why or how I'm connected to it. It frightens me." Leora's heart sank. She had heard stories of the fire that had once ravaged Eldoria. "There was a tragedy in our village years ago, a fire that destroyed many homes and lives," she said softly. "Some say it was caused by magic, but no one knows for sure." Calum's gaze shot to hers, his eyes wide. "Do you think could I have been involved?" "I don't know," Leora replied, her voice gentle. "But we can't jump to conclusions. Let's focus on helping you understand your abilities first. Maybe that will help unlock your memories." He nodded slowly, but doubt lingered in his eyes. "What if I can't control it? What if I hurt someone?" Leora reached across the table, placing her hand over his. "You won't. You have a good heart, Calum. We'll figure this out together." As the fire crackled, a silence fell between them, filled with unspoken fears and hopes. Calum felt a warmth spreading through him, not just from the tea, but from Leora's presence. It was strange and comforting, yet shadows of doubt loomed in his mind. "Why do I feel so connected to you?" he asked suddenly. "I don't know," Leora replied, a blush creeping to her cheeks. "But it feels like we are meant to help each other." Calum looked down, his thoughts racing. He wanted to believe her, to cling to this bond that was forming, but the fear of his past clawed at him. "What if the past comes back to haunt me?" he whispered, his voice barely above the crackling fire. Leora's grip tightened on his hand. "Whatever it is, we can face it together. You are not alone anymore." In that moment, Calum felt a flicker of hope, but deep inside, the darkness of his forgotten past lurked, waiting for the right moment to emerge. As dawn broke over the forest, Calum sat on a fallen log, his mind a whirlpool of thoughts and emotions. The vibrant colors of Eldoria surrounded him, yet they felt muted, overshadowed by the weight of his guilt. He had begun to understand that his powers could change the world around him, but with that understanding came painful memories that clawed at his heart. Leora approached him quietly, her footsteps soft against the forest floor. She sensed the turmoil within him, her brow furrowing with concern. "Calum, you've been distant today. What is on your mind?" Her voice was gentle, a soothing balm to his frayed nerves. He looked up at her, his eyes reflecting his inner struggle. "I can change things, Leora, but every time I do, I feel this darkness. It pulls at me, reminding me of things I wish to forget." He paused, struggling to find the right words. "I don't know if I can control it." Leora knelt beside him, her gaze steady. "You have to embrace your abilities, Calum. They are a part of you. Hiding from them won't help." Her words were firm, yet her tone held warmth. "Let's work through this together." He nodded slowly, knowing deep down that she was right. But how could he embrace something that caused him so much pain? As if in response to his thoughts, a vivid flash of memory surged through him. He saw flames, bright and consuming, and felt the heat that scorched the earth. His heart raced as the images became clearer, people fleeing, screams echoing in his ears. Leora reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Calum, what do you see?" He clenched his fists, the guilt rising like bile in his throat. "The fire. I was there. I was part of it." The realization hit him like a thunderclap, and he struggled to breathe. "I didn't save them. I could have done something, but I didn't." "Calum, listen to me," Leora said urgently, her grip tightening. "You were not alone in that moment. There were many factors at play. You cannot hold this guilt alone. We can uncover the truth together." His heart ached at her words. He wanted to believe her, to let go of the burden he had carried for so long. But what if I did something wrong? What if I am the reason for the pain in Eldoria? Leora shook her head, her eyes fierce with determination. "You must face what happened, not run from it. You have the power to change the future. We can use your abilities to heal, not to hurt." Calum took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle in his heart. As he closed his eyes, he focused on the memories, willing himself to remember more. The pain of the fire, the faces of those who suffered, it all came flooding back. But within that chaos, he also felt a flicker of hope. "I can help them, can't I?" he whispered, a mix of fear and determination in his voice. "If I understand what happened, maybe I can make it right." "Yes!" Leora exclaimed, her face lighting up with encouragement. "Together, we can uncover the truth. Every step you take can lead us closer to healing." As they sat together in the forest, Calum felt a spark of courage ignite within him. The bond between him and Leora had deepened, and he realized he was not alone. With her by his side, he could face the shadows of his past. But as he looked into her eyes, he also felt a pang of fear. What if revealing his truth meant losing her trust? "Leora," he said hesitantly, "if I share what I remember, will you still be here with me?" She smiled softly, her expression earnest. "I will always be here, Calum. Trust is built on honesty. Whatever you reveal, we will face it together." Her words wrapped around him like a protective shield. In that moment, Calum made a choice. He would confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. With Leora's support, he could finally begin to understand the full extent of his powers and the dark past that haunted him. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Calum felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to delve into the depths of his memories, to face the guilt that had long overshadowed his existence. With Leora by his side, he was prepared to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees of Eldoria. Calum stood at the edge of a clearing, his heart racing. He had spent days grappling with the memories that flickered in his mind like a broken lantern. Now, he felt a strong urge to change just one small moment from his past, a decision he believed could erase the pain of his memories. "What if I could make it better?" he whispered to himself, his voice barely above a breath. The thought danced in his mind like a moth drawn to light. If he could fix just one detail, perhaps everything would be different. As he closed his eyes, he focused on the faded image of the fire that haunted him. The flames licked at the night sky, and he could almost hear the cries of despair that echoed through the village. He took a deep breath, reaching out with his thoughts to alter a small detail, a flicker of flame that he could extinguish before it spread. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the clearing, rustling the leaves and sending a chill down his spine. In that moment, he felt a strange energy surge within him. It was as if the very air around him shifted, reacting to his intentions. He opened his eyes, but the world around him began to blur and twist. "Calum, are you okay?" Leora's voice broke through his focus, filled with concern. She had been gathering herbs nearby and now stood a few feet away, her brow furrowed. I'm trying to change something," he replied, his voice trembling. "Just a small thing. I thought maybe—" Before he could finish, a crack of thunder shook the air and dark clouds rolled in above them. Leora's eyes widened as the storm approached. "No, Calum, stop," she shouted, but it was too late. The energy he had summoned surged beyond his control. Lightning flashed, and the ground trembled beneath them. In an instant, a torrent of rain began to pour, soaking the earth and threatening Leora's crops just days before harvest. Panic set in as she glanced around, fear evident in her eyes. "Calum, you have to do something. The crops." He felt a wave of guilt wash over him. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help." His heart raced as he realized that his actions had consequences far beyond what he intended. The storm was wreaking havoc, and Leora was caught in the chaos. "Help me, please," Leora cried out, her voice filled with desperation. The wind whipped her hair around her face, and she struggled to keep her footing. Calum closed his eyes again, this time with a sense of urgency. He reached deep within himself, searching for the strength to control the storm. "I can fix this," he murmured, focusing all his energy on calming the tempest. Gradually, the wind began to lessen, and the downpour softened to a gentle drizzle. The clouds still loomed ominously, but he managed to hold back the worst of the storm. Leora watched him, her expression a blend of awe and fear. "How did you do that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Calum admitted, his heart heavy with the weight of his actions. "I thought I could change something, but I just made it worse." Leora stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "We all have fears, Calum, but you can't keep trying to change the past. It's not that simple." He looked at her, feeling the depth of her words sink in. "I just wanted to fix everything. For you, for the village. I thought I could make it right." In a moment of vulnerability, Leora shared her own fears. "I lost my family in the fire. Sometimes, I wish I could go back and save them," she admitted, her voice shaky. "But I know I can't. We can only move forward." Calum felt a bond form between them, forged in shared pain. "I'm sorry, Leora. I didn't mean to put you in danger." She reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "I know you didn't. But we have to face our past together, not try to erase it. The pain is part of who we are." Calum nodded, feeling the weight of his choices pressing down on him. He realized that his desire to fix the past could endanger not just himself, but those he cared about. He took a deep breath, trying to find clarity amidst the chaos. "I will try to embrace it," he promised softly. "But it's hard." "It is hard," Leora agreed, her eyes softening. "But we can face it together. You're not alone in this." As the rain continued to fall gently around them, Calum understood that the road ahead would be difficult. But with Leora by his side, he felt a flicker of hope. He would learn to confront his past, no matter how painful, and together, they would find a way to move forward. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees of Eldoria. Calum stood at the edge of a clearing, his heart racing as he faced the weight of a heavy decision. He had learned much since his arrival in this enchanted land, but now he found himself at a crossroads. The villagers were in danger, and he felt an urge to change a crucial moment that could save them. However, in doing so, he risked losing Leora, the one person who had come to mean so much to him. What if I could stop it? Calum whispered to himself, his hands trembling. The thought of altering time filled him with both hope and dread. He could see the faces of the villagers, their lives hanging by a thread, yet he could also envision Leora's bright smile fading from his memory forever. As if sensing his turmoil, Leora appeared beside him. Her eyes searched his face, filled with concern. Calum, what is it? You look troubled. He turned to her, the weight of his emotions spilling out. I can change what happened during the fire. I can save them, but I might lose you in the process. Leora's brow furrowed, and she stepped closer. You can't think like that. Lives are at stake, but you need to consider what this means for you. Who do you want to be? Calum took a deep breath, grappling with the enormity of her words. I don't want to be the man who sacrifices everything for a chance to fix the past. But what if it's the only way to save the village? Sometimes saving others means risking yourself, Leora replied, her voice steady. But remember, every choice has consequences. If you erase this moment, what will it mean for us? He looked into her eyes, feeling the connection that had grown between them. It was not just about saving lives, it was about the bond they had formed. A bond he could not bear to lose. Yet the image of the villagers, frightened and vulnerable, haunted him. Suddenly, a shadow flickered in the clearing, drawing Calum's attention. Before him stood a figure cloaked in darkness, an embodiment of his past mistakes. The air grew cold as the figure spoke, its voice echoing with regret. You seek to change what cannot be changed. Do you not remember the pain you have caused? Calum's heart raced. I know the pain. I lived it, but I cannot stand by while others suffer. Leora stepped forward, her presence grounding him. You have the power, Calum, but you must not let it define you. Your choices shape who you are. The dark figure laughed, a sound that sent chills down Calum's spine. And what if your choice leads to more suffering? What if you lose everything you love? Calum felt his resolve wavering as the shadows of doubt crept in. He glanced at Leora, her unwavering support, a beacon of light in the darkness. I can't let fear guide me. I have to make a choice that reflects who I am now, not who I was. Leora nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. Trust yourself, Calum. Trust that you can wield your power for good. With a newfound determination, Calum focused on the moment he wished to change. The energy around him pulsed, and he could feel the magic swirling in the air. I will not erase my past, but I can choose to protect the future. As he reached out, he felt the warmth of Leora's hand clasp his, steadying him. Together, Calum. Whatever happens, we face it together. With her words echoing in his heart, Calum let go of his fears. He directed his energy towards the scene in his mind, envisioning a different outcome for the villagers. The air shimmered with magic, and for a moment, time stood still. In that instant, he felt a profound clarity. He was not just changing the past, he was embracing his present, his connection with Leora, and the hope of a better future. The dark figure faded, leaving only the warmth of Leora's hand in his. Thank you, he whispered, looking into her eyes. No matter what happens, I choose this path. Leora smiled softly, her grip tightening around his. And I will stand by you, always. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Eldoria, Calum felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had made his choice, and with it came the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The sun rose gently over Eldoria, casting a warm light that filtered through the trees. Calum stood on the edge of the village, his heart heavy with the weight of his recent choice. He felt the echoes of his past still lingering in the air, reminding him of the mistakes he could not erase. As he watched the villagers go about their day, he noticed the subtle changes in their expressions, a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Are you all right?" Leora asked, stepping beside him. Her eyes sparkled with concern, and Calum could see the strength she carried despite the challenges they faced. "I'm trying to be," Calum replied, his voice low. "But I can still feel the shadows of what happened. It's hard to move on when everything reminds me of my past." Leora placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We can't change what happened, but we can work together to heal. The village needs us now more than ever." With a nod, Calum took a deep breath. Together, they walked into the village, where the residents began to gather. Whispers filled the air, and Calum could sense both fear and hope in their voices. The fire that had once devastated Eldoria still haunted them, but now they had a chance to rebuild and grow. As they reached the center of the village, Leora stepped forward. "Everyone," she called out, her voice strong. "We are here to start anew. We have faced darkness, but together we can bring light back to Eldoria." The villagers looked at each other, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Then, one by one, they began to nod. Calum felt a surge of warmth in his chest. It was a small victory, but it was a start. "Calum," Leora said softly, turning to him, "will you share your story? They need to know they are not alone in this." Calum hesitated, the weight of his past pressing down on him. But he knew that honesty could bring healing. I made mistakes. I thought I could change things, but I only caused more pain," he admitted, his voice trembling. "I was lost, but I have found hope again because of you all." The villagers listened intently as he spoke, their faces a mix of empathy and understanding. Calum continued, "I am learning that we must embrace our past to move forward. We cannot change what has happened, but we can shape our future together." When he finished, a murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Leora smiled at him, her eyes shining with pride. "We will rebuild, not just our homes, but our hearts, together." As the days passed, Calum and Leora took on the task of healing the village. They organized workshops where villagers could share their stories, their fears, and their hopes. They planted new seeds in the fields, watched as the earth came alive with vibrant colors, and felt the magic of their shared experiences. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Leora turned to Calum. "This festival is a celebration of our rebirth. It's a chance for everyone to let go of the past and embrace the future." Calum smiled, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known before. "It feels good to be part of something bigger than myself. Thank you for guiding me." Leora laughed softly. "You've guided us all. Your strength has brought us together." The festival day arrived, and the village was alive with excitement. Colorful banners waved in the gentle breeze, and laughter filled the air. Villagers danced, sang, and shared food, celebrating their community and the bonds they had forged. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over Eldoria, Calum took a moment to reflect. He watched Leora as she interacted with the villagers, her smile infectious. He felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. "Leora," he called, catching her attention. "Yes?" she replied, her eyes bright. "I finally understand. The magic of life isn't about changing the past. It's about embracing the present and creating a future together." She smiled, her expression filled with warmth. "Exactly, Calum. We are not defined by our past, but by how we choose to move forward." As the festival continued, Calum felt a deep sense of connection with the people around him. He realized that though the past would always be a part of him, he had the power to shape his own destiny. And for the first time, he looked to the future with hope. Share this story if you believe that healing and hope can emerge from even the darkest pasts. Leave a comment about a time when embracing the present transformed your life, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales like this one.